Hello, welcome back to The Collision. It's Daniel here with Sarah, and we made it, the end of The Mandalorian, all 8 episodes, epic finale, so let's talk about it. Episode 8. What do you think of, kind of initial thoughts of, was it a good ending?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. It was a lot of action. It moved pretty fast, and I thought there was good resolve and stuff through the episode.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we kind of have talked about the whole season is kind of, how we felt about some of the earlier episodes will kind of be dependent a bit on how they pay it off at the end. There's the stretch kind of in the middle of the season where we just weren't feeling it as much. And then last episode 7 kind of got us really back on board. And I agree. I think this is a great ending, especially for like a television show. There's big special effects. A lot happens. And in a lot of ways, I feel like this episode kind of encapsulated all the good aspects about the show so far.
Yeah.
We had some kind of lore, some mythology revealed about the characters. There was action. Some of the mysteries and answers were given. So kind of, some of the characters got to shine again that from the earlier, like IG-11 and some of those guys. So in a lot of ways, I think, which is, I think what a finale should do. It should kind of take the best elements of the show, kind of put it all together. So what were some stuff in the episode that stood out to you?
I enjoyed, it's kind of weird, but I enjoyed the banter between the two stormtroopers that were like, oh, you didn't like it?
that might be our dividing... and I think a lot of people did.
I just thought it was funny. You never hear them talk.
Yeah.
So it was weird.
I hated the way this episode started. Really, probably the only thing... And again, this episode was directed by Taika Waititi, who's just he's a weird guy, kind of visionary. He has kind of a quirky... directed Thor Ragnarok. He voices IG-11. He's just done some weird stuff. He's kind of a weird guy. So I wasn't sure how he would translate into Star Wars, because he just doesn't seem like the type. And the opening of this episode to me was like, oh no, it doesn't translate. It was so slapsticky, and they're kind of spoofing the stormtroopers pull out their blasters and they're trying to shoot that rock while they wait, and of course neither of them can hit it because stormtroopers can't hit anything. And it was kind of funny. It just went on so long, and I think that's kind of Waititi's style, where he kind of lingers on, kind of more improv. So I started this episode being like, this is not going to work. But really after that, because after that scene, then the title slide comes up, and everything from that point on, I think he nailed it. So it's
okay.
But I guess it's all subjective.
It wasn't as quirky as I thought it was gonna be based on his other Thor video. I thought it would be a lot quirkier.
Yeah, because after that kind of opening, it kind of settles into more of just sort of that gritty, fun Star Wars tone. I think that having there's some humor, like when the IG-11, kind of the nurse droid now, he saves Baby Yoda and he's on the speeder bike and he's just flying around, and Baby Yoda's laughing like a child, and he's just gunning down stormtroopers. Awesome. That scene is just pure kind of fun, goofy Star Wars. And again, he got a lot to do in this episode. He kind
of saved the day.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a coincidence that his character was the guy that directed the episode.
I need a good role.
Yeah, but even the callback to his sacrifice, calls back to the first episode of this season, where the self-destruct, which was a funny part of that episode, kind of ties that back, and he kind of goes out with a bang. I don't know what you thought. The action's all fun, but you kind of have to accept that it's Star Wars action, because there's there's a lot of scenes of them just standing wide open in the clearing, just kind of gunning down stormtroopers, and a million stormtroopers around shooting at them, and of course no one gets even close to being hit.
Yeah.
None of them are taking cover. So it's not
Mandalorian.
He gets one or two shots, and the IG I think gets hit once or twice, but for the most part they're just sort of standing out in the clearing gunning down stormtroopers. But it was fun. There was just tons of tons of kind of Star Wars action, some tension. The stakes are against them. We kind of get more about our villain, Moff Gideon. What do you think of him as a villain?
I only remember him from a previous show. I used to watch the Revolution show, and I just didn't really like him in that show, so I have a hard time getting past the character. his previous character, and like, but that's just like a personal thing. But
Yeah.
I thought he was okay.
Yeah, I think okay maybe is a good word for.
He just doesn't really like was like bad guy. I feel
Yeah, and I know
like,
he's being another. I think Breaking Bad, he's a big character in that show. I don't really buy him as a menacing. I don't know if it's just the acting, if it's over the top. I wasn't super into him as sort of like the overarching villain. Like he's trying to be menacing and he's talking and they're trying to build him up as kind of big and this big bad. And I don't know if I totally bought it. The end of the episode, I don't know if kind of a nerdy callback. So the season ends with Moff Gideon. He's crashed.
Mm-hmm.
He cuts himself out of his TIE fighter and he's holding, for all you hardcore Star Wars nerds, he's holding what's called the dark saber, which kind of in lore is a big thing. And they kind of explain it. I guess not in the show. They don't explain it. It's appeared in like both cartoons, the Clone Wars and the Rebels. It's kind of like there was once a Jedi or a Mandalorian that became a Jedi, the only one. He made this sort of his lightsaber, and then he died and things went on. And the saber got stolen. Mandalorians and the Jedi end up kind of enemies. So the dark saber's always been like a symbol of sort of power for the Mandalorians. And it's interesting, the character in the cartoons, the Mandalorian that had the saber, was voiced by Jon Favreau, who's the producer of this show. So it's this interesting callback to that. So again, that's going to play out in the next season. He's obviously tied in a very direct way to Mandalore, the planet, the people. What about the Mandalorian himself? We learn a lot about him.
We see his
face for the first. I think a lot of us probably predicted that we would see his face at least once in season 1.
The way they did it was quite clever, because like he can't break his oath, and you're like, he can't reveal himself to a living person, and he was like, well, I'm not living, so
yeah, it just shows it to the droid, and even just their connection, kind of overcoming his grudge against droids. But yeah, see his face. I wonder how much, because again, he still has this creed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I wonder how much we're gonna see his face going forward if he. Because it's not like he can just keep it off now. We've seen his face.
Yeah, but he seems like he's very like true to his, like he's very feels strongly about his creed and like how he needs to keep it all. So I feel like I don't think he'll like take it off.
Yeah, like maybe we'll see it like in private scenes, just to get the actor on screen.
Yeah,
we see his flashback, kind of where he came from, which was interesting. We've sort of seen glimpses of it in some earlier episodes where they kind of flashed it real quick. And we kind of got to see the whole scene play out in full.
Yeah.
Which as a Star Wars nerd, it was just cool to see, because it's the Clone Wars. You have the droids, which are just so ridiculous and stupid in Star Wars. But you kind of see a more modern take on them, that they're actually menacing and they're gunning down these civilians, the big droids. It's kind of neat to get a look at the Clone Wars in a way that's not quite as kind of kiddie and silly as like Attack of the Clones movies were. So we kind of see why he hates droids, obviously, and see he gets picked up. He's not born on Mandalore; he's adopted.
Which I think we kind of.
Yeah, which he talked about being a foundling. He gets his sign finally, the Mudhorn. Him and Baby Yoda are connected. Is he like Baby Yoda's foster dad now?
Yes, I think what she kind of the lady.
Yeah, the other Mandalorian.
She made it out to be like, you're his dad.
Yeah,
now,
so you're basically
get over it.
And so that kind of sets up. I think. If this season was kind of about him planet hopping, keeping him safe, next season seems like he's going to be kind of planet hopping, trying to find wherever the Yodas come from.
Yeah, because he was. She told him he needed to take it home, right, to wherever it's from.
Yeah, he needs to return him to his people. The Yoda's too young to be trained, so he needs to find wherever the Yodas come from. So it'll be interesting to see. As a Star Wars fan, I'm a little hesitant. I don't want to learn too much about the Yodas. I like that mystery, and I feel like no answers will really be as fun as not knowing. Their planet's called, whatever, some name. It's just not that interesting. But so I think the Mandalorian kind of as a character throughout the whole season, we got to see his growth. Kind of internally, he wrestled with that. Started off as sort of a little more heartless bounty hunter. Kind of ends the season walking away from the guild and kind of going off being more of a Mandalorian than sort of a bounty hunter. But even kind of outwardly, kind of aesthetically, he's been adding to his armor all season, and he kind of gets the cherry on top of the cake in this episode. He finally gets his jetpack. What do you think of that?
I was super excited. I was just waiting for it. I knew it would happen, or I felt like it would happen. And so I was super excited when he got it and he used it. And it kind of
and there's the one scene, I think it's episode 3, when the Mandalorians are fighting and the guy kind of gives him the salute.
He's
and
like, I gotta have one of those.
From that point, like at some point he's
Yeah,
gonna
he's
get
gotta
one.
get it.
And even just sort of, I feel like the ending with him using the jetpack, like a Mandalorian with a jetpack, flying and fighting a Imperial and a TIE fighter is like a scene I probably wrote fan fiction of when I was like 10 years old. Like it's this sort of glorious, over-the-top fan service, but it worked, and it's just, I think that's what makes this show so great. It didn't feel, super fans shoving it down your throat,
No, it
Star
just
Wars,
worked.
but it's this sort of like, it's just pure joy. It's pure kind of this adventure, kind of goofiness.
I like that he kind of struggled with it a little bit at the start too. Like he wasn't like perfect at flying it this first time he flew it. Like he kind of
Yeah, a little bit, because the armorer, who also, was awesome in this episode.
She had a pretty awesome battle with the stormtrooper.
Yeah, with her like her wielding tools or whatever, and the one disintegrates the one stormtrooper. I'm sure she'll be back.
Yeah.
At some point. But yeah, she kind of says, it won't obey your commands, but she seemed to pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's flying off with Yoda at the end. But I think that's that's another thing going into next season. That I'm sure he'll be using a lot more. So overall, this season, did you dig it? Did you enjoy?
I feel like there was some rocky bits in the middle, but I felt like the last two definitely ended it well.
Yeah, and I think even like in hindsight, if you think of the whole, like there's really only one episode that we thought was bad.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple that weren't as good, but I think, like if we were to go back and watch the whole season from the start and not have to wait, the time between, I think some of the earlier episodes, it didn't seem to be as, consequential to the plot. It'd be a little easier to take in and just enjoy now that we know things do tie in. There is sort of a satisfying end to it.
Yeah.
So any maybe end off with some kind of one thing you're looking forward to next season. I think Favreau kind of tweeted out that it's coming next fall of this year. So not super long to wait. I know they're already filming it, but anything you're kind of looking forward to for coming forward?
I'm sure there'll be lots of new characters, since I feel like they kind of used up the characters they already had in the thing, and they obviously killed off one of them. So it'll be interesting to see what new characters will be in the new season.
Yeah, because kind of his crew we were hoping about, last episode, the Ugnaught and the robot, they're both gone. Cara Dune's still around, and she was great.
I don't know if she'd travel. I don't know if she's.
No, but she'll still be a part of the going forward. Their connection's pretty good. So yeah, I think overall I really enjoyed the season. I think these last two episodes were some of the best. I'm looking forward to even just what other kind of directors and people they have come in to do some episodes. I know they had a lot of kind of interesting choices. It's wide open for kind of fan servicey, what planets they can go to, ways even now that they can maybe tie it into like the most recent movie now that that's out in theaters. Kind of some direct tie-ins, but hey, let us know what you thought of this episode, but also just of the whole season. That our first taste of Star Wars on TV. We got Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming up. We got another Mandalorian, a lot coming forward, but it's just sort of our first, time to experience Star Wars on the small screen. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts. Did it meet your expectations? Did it fall short? Were you somewhere kind of in the middle? Are you excited for the next season? Are you kind of done with The Mandalorian, ready for something else? Jump into the comment section and let us know. Again, if you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And we just want to thank you for watching. Hope you'll continue to collide with your world for Christ.